This is a video I recorded back in mid-April, how you can exploit market value in your rookie drafts, basically how to navigate it, specific scenarios you can face yourself where you can maximize value to get out of your drafts. I discuss how market value relates to fantasy, how we can apply it, and lessons you should be taking in for when you're on the clock. And as I mentioned, this video was recorded back in mid-April as a site exclusive over on flockfantasy.com, along with a library of videos in the Dynasty 101 series soon enough. If you want full access to these videos right now, our rankings and other exclusive perks, head on over to flockfantasy.com and use promo code FSC, 30% off on your package and get you fully prepared for your rookie drafts. Again, just going to preface this. If anything I say in this video is outdated, remember this was recorded prior to the NFL draft, and these specific scenarios are more so a lesson rather than to be taken directly. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get right into it. Rookie drafts are easily one of the most exciting times of the entire Dynasty fantasy football calendar, tying together a full year of studying the oncoming prospects and finally being able to add them to your Dynasty rosters. We get to watch these rookie players throughout the previous collegiate season and have a full offseason of testing and going back and forth on Prospect X versus Prospect Y. Today, we dive into the rookie draft and how the market should play a huge role in terms of helping you make your decisions when it comes to draft day. If you guys enjoy, make sure you leave a like down below, comment your favorite rookie draft tip, and of course, subscribe to the channel. On the road to 20,000 subscribers. Appreciate you guys for that continued support. But with that being said, let's get right into it. All right, before I get into the nitty gritty, we're just going to quickly go over what market value is in relation to fantasy football. And market value is the currency of a dynasty asset and what they're worth to other teams in your league if leveraged in a trade. Market value can be broken down into two separate categories. Myself and Corey did a full Dynasty 101 video on evaluating your league market in depth. But for a basic rundown, the two separate markets at play when it comes to Dynasty are the macro market versus the micro market. And with the macro market, this applies more so to leagues across the Dynasty landscape and gives you a gauge as to how the public views certain assets and a basic understanding for how other players operate their Dynasty teams. Whereas in the micro market, it applies to your specific league and the built-in differences in how your league mates value certain assets in comparison to the general public. So being able to use both in conjunction when making decisions gives you a gauge as to what direction you should take your team and helps determine the discrepancy there is in strategy between your league mates in comparison to the Dynasty landscape. By making decisions with a conscious approach, utilizing information from both markets is how you can most efficiently build value on your Dynasty rosters. But how can we apply market value when it comes to our rookie draft? And that comes with the associated opportunity cost with your selections, giving you a gauge for just how valuable your draft picks are. A lot of newer Dynasty players will come in and they'll want to take their guy, live and die by that player's performance because they absolutely love the prospect. But in a recent interesting tweet brought up by McNamara Dynasty on Twitter, this subject point was actually brought up. So Jordan actually asks here, which strategy do you trust more? Strategy 1 tells you that they're really certain about players to pick and builds a strategy around it. Or strategy 2 tells you they're really uncertain about players to pick and builds a strategy around it. So I actually answered this quickly on Twitter. If you guys, want to follow me on Twitter, check out some of my stuff. Danny Football 50 mine on the screen right now. But basically, it's pretty easy to me. I would much rather use a strategy that builds on the uncertainty about the players themselves. A assumes that they can outsmart the market. B uses the inefficiencies in the market to their advantage. Yes, in theory, if you can predict all the paths of these collegiate prospects and how they're going to approach their NFL careers, A would win in a landslide. But the fact of the matter is there's so much variance going on in the NFL, going on in fantasy football, that B gives you a much better chance of accumulating value and getting more chance to profit on the moves that you make. So as we know, variance is a part of the game, and B prepares for that far more effectively than A can ever do. And I'd love to be able to say, I nailed that player's career path. I knew exactly what step-by-step they would take in their career and have that type of conviction. But like I said, there's simply way too much variance when it comes to prospects coming into the NFL. And as we've seen, sometimes the cleanest prospect profiles simply do not live up to expectation. Realistically, we are not certain, so focusing your strategy around maximizing market inefficiency will give you more leeway and, like I said, more paths to profiting in the long term. We'll get into some specifics, but your main goal leaving your rookie draft is to leave with as much accumulated value as possible in conjunction with the players you like. not to leave the rookie draft having, filled your running back position or getting your guys at a much higher pick than their ADP value would indicate. By playing through the market and attacking certain inefficiencies when you do spot them, you can basically, tier down to an asset you prefer / fit your team build while still profiting in the long run. So looking towards the 2023 rookie draft, what exactly is the market value of this class? As you guys can see on the screen right now, it's pretty clear that the market has a heavy lean on Jackson Smith-Njigba as the wide receiver one of the class, him being as the 4th overall player there, the other wide receivers in the class lacking far behind. It's clear that the market also views Bijan Robinson in his own tier amongst this rookie class and a first-round startup pick for most people, the 9th overall value player for most people, according to Keep Trade Cut. It's also clear that the top 3 quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, and Anthony Richardson, are significantly preferred to quarterback 4 Will Levis by consensus. It's also clear that after Bijan Robinson, the top 6 picks are viewed in a tier, even though we personally at FSC, myself and Corey, disagree. The 107 to 111 are viewed in a tier, and then it's viewed by the consensus that there's a pretty significant drop-off between the 111 and the 112. Again, this is a pretty general list, and there will be differences in your own micro league markets. But Keep Trade Cut gives us a general idea for how the public feels of this rookie class as of mid-April. So using this as your reference point to what your opportunity cost of each pick represents is crucial in my opinion. But now we apply these market value principles specifically to this draft class and specifically in certain scenarios / situations you guys can find yourself in. Let's just say, hypothetically, you tanked all year, you're at the 101, you got Bijan Robinson staring you at the face, but you just don't have a simple path to compete right away. And you're most likely looking at a 2+ year overall in position for a high 2024 first round pick. You've already basically correctly identified that Bijan Robinson doesn't fit your winning window, fit your winning timeline, and you're correctly against taking him at the 101 rather than exploring other options. However, because of this, you're thinking about taking a quarterback at the 101. Just because Bijan Robinson doesn't fit your timeline does not mean he doesn't fit another team's timeline in your league. In this scenario, you guys should be looking at the teams picking 2 to 4 and try to get value on top of the rookie quarterback you're eyeing, or just simply inquire about the elite quarterbacks the 101 can be flipped for. So in terms of the Keep Trade Cut assets right now, if you can get any of the top 8 guys, it would be an absolute insta smash. We're talking about, the Mahomeses, the Allens, Jeffersons, Chases, all the way down to the Trevor Lawrences. If those owners are willing to flip those assets straight up 1-for-1 for Bijan Robinson, you do that deal in a heartbeat. But I would also be willing to flip the 101 for Justin Fields and for Lamar Jackson in this instance. You're basically getting that level of upside that the other assets represent at a discount at the quarterback position when it comes to Lamar and Fields. The elite quarterback shelf life is much longer than the running back shelf life. So you're getting another elite asset at a position that's going to be ready, going to be peaking for you once your team is ready to compete. So if you can flip Bijan for any of those 11 names listed there straight up, I would be ecstatic about that type of deal. But let's say all those owners are not willing to shop their assets straight up for Bijan Robinson. The next move I'd be looking to do is potentially looking at that next tier, your Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Anthony Richardson tier, and seeing if you can flip Bijan Robinson for any of those assets plus. Let's say hypothetically the guy picking at 104 has his quarterback situation set, really wants a share of Bijan Robinson, is willing to pay the price, pay the premium to go up and get Bijan Robinson on his team. In this scenario, you'd be moving down to the 104. Let's say Anthony Richardson's the guy there. Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are the number 2 and number 3 overall picks. Anthony Richardson staring you at the face. You're looking at this right now. Instead of taking Bijan Robinson or force feeding a quarterback at pick 1, you move down to pick 4, you profit an extra 2024 first round pick, and you still get that rookie quarterback that fits your team timeline. By taking any of these rookie quarterbacks over Bijan straight up, you could be costing yourself extra value upwards of a future 2024, 2025 first, whatever value you could get on top for if you were to trade down. So this scenario makes a ton of sense. You profit your elite upside quarterback, you get an extra first in the bank, and you get an extra chance at maybe Caleb Williams next year. But let's look at another example. Let's say the inverse. You're set at quarterback. Let's say you have Deshaun Watson, Jalen Hurts with like Trey Lance waiting in the wings, and you have the 103 right now. You really need a running back. You're ready to compete, maybe push the chips in, but you need a running back like I kind of said. And the Bijan 101 holder is unwilling to move the pick. So you're set on taking Jahmyr Gibbs at the 103 in this scenario. Instead, what I'd be willing to do is look to see if I can buy any running back that I have ranked above Gibbs. So over on flockfantasy.com, you'll see that Gibbs is currently my running back 6 pre-NFL draft. And the running backs I would prefer over Jahmyr Gibbs would be Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, or Kenneth Walker. So in this scenario, let's just say you notice the JT owner is lacking quarterback depth. Try to offer the pick for JT, even if it costs, a tiny sweetener. Let's say you have to add a 2024 third-round pick for Jonathan Taylor. That guy needs quarterback. He's not trying to compete. He flips you Jonathan Taylor in this instance. That same asset you are willing to spend on Jahmyr Gibbs, instead you end up getting a better running back asset to go and compete in 2023 with Jonathan Taylor, a guy that's almost consensus going to be a 2023 first-round pick in redraft leagues. So another value trade. This is more a competing lens. You still get your running back, but you get a better running back at the opportunity cost than Jahmyr Gibbs would represent by just sticking and picking. Finally, let's say you're extremely high on Will Levis. You prefer him as your quarterback 1 in the entire class, and you're ready to snag him as the 102 off the board in your Superflex rookie draft. As you can see with that graphic, the general consensus is much lower on Levis than the other 3 quarterbacks. So if you take him straight up over any of them, it's just simply value malpractice. So in this scenario, you have your conviction on Levis. You really want Levis added to the team and believe he's worth that pick. But if the rest of the league is not willing to pay that type of price for him, it makes him a nearly impossible asset to trade for equivalent cost post-rookie draft. So in this scenario, you look at that middle range of teams in your draft that need quarterback help, and you try to see if any would be willing to move up and go secure a Bryce Young, go secure a CJ Stroud, go secure an Anthony Richardson in this scenario. So hypothetically, you find a team interested. According to Keep Trade Cut right now, you could potentially move your 2024 third and upgrade that to a 2024 first just by moving, the 102. So whether that's Bryce, CJ, Anthony, whatever that owner wants to move up and get because they have the conviction of those guys, you end up profiting and making your third into a first-round selection in this instance. So you still get your guy. You still get the conviction that he's your quarterback 1 off the board. Only, like I said, you're upgrading a third-round pick into a future first. So absolute gravy on top. You guys have to understand your opportunity cost and how relative value exists in your drafts. It could mean the difference between losing out on versus gaining free assets on top and keeping on accumulating that liquidity that we stress over here at the Fantasy Stock Exchange. So before we head out, quick key notes you have to remember and what you should take away from this video are that drafting for need when on the clock will always backfire. It's okay to have conviction, but not at the expense of heightened opportunity cost. And then finally, stay fluid and remember that every pick decision turns the liquidity of your draft pick into a player. So you have to make sure the value is there and the value makes sense. Utilize all of your options when you're on the clock. This video and all videos in the Dynasty 101 series would have released previously on Flock Fantasy prior to being uploaded on YouTube. So if you guys want early access to the series and all of the other great content we have to offer, including rankings, articles, and other fantastic bonus content, head over and sign up to flockfantasy.com. Promo code FSC will get you 30% off plus personalized access from myself and Corey by joining as a flocker or a mother flocker. Again, appreciate you guys for that continued support. But with that being said, stay on the lookout. A lot of these videos will be dropping in your feed soon enough. Take care.